Hello everybody, I'm Nancy Frigo and thank you for joining us today. I am standing here in Maryville, Indiana at the GNIAR building, which stands for Greater Northwest Indiana Association of Realtors. And we are here kicking off our Boots on the Ground campaign and speaking with the CEO, Peter Novak of GNIAR. And he will be giving you and me and all of us involved here, as well as the world, some insight into what is actually happening with the commuter train coming to Northwest Indiana now. 2022. It's happening right now. Join us. So Pete, how are you doing today?
I'm wonderful, Nancy. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for taking some time out and to speak with me regarding all the activity that we're having in Northwest Indiana with the commuter train.
Sure.
It's been amazing, and we are putting together this Boots on the Ground campaign because we go way back. I'm in the industry a very long time,
sure.
and you are the CEO of the Greater Northwest Indiana Association of Realtors,
right.
And I have seen you speak in several occasions, and recently I had that opportunity to come and actually attend the Northwest Indiana Forum and discuss what's actually happening with the economic impact that's going to happen with the commuter rail coming here to
right.
Northwest Indiana. And I had just thought, I think it's really important for the communities and the realtor associations to maybe hear kind of from, if your thoughts and what you feel, what is going to happen within the region with this major new transportation to areas that were never touched before. So if you have any insight that I want to kind of get the word out and let people know actually in real time, where are we at within the marketplace with what you see?
Yeah, so this has been a long time coming, and even prior to my career at GNIAR, or the Greater Northwest Indiana Realtors, I was dealing with this issue when I worked for the city of Hammond. And so obviously this is a project that they've been working on for decades at this point. But we're really at the point where it's about to come to fruition, and people often don't pay attention until they actually see something
right.
tangible or something that is physical to them. But we really have made a ton of progress, and it's easy for the realtors to support a project like this. I really feel like this is one of the big missing links that Northwest Indiana, again, is missing, and when you compare us to other suburbs in the Chicagoland area. And it's something that's going to put us not only on par with the rest of the Chicagoland area, but with all the other things that we have to offer. I really think it's going to put us, heads and shoulders above some of these other areas, or at least just make us very competitive in terms of the Chicagoland marketplace. So it's, again, it's easier for our organization to support this. It's going to be something that's going to be a benefit to the residents of Northwest Indiana. It's an economic development project. It's probably really our biggest economic development project here in Northwest Indiana, at least in my opinion. It's tying us to one of the largest economic markets in the entire world, definitely in the United States. And it just makes a ton of sense. Like, why wouldn't we want this for our area? And if you look at all of the other major parts of the Chicagoland area, they all have this. This is something that's
absolutely.
it's been there already.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we look at our area and we look at what we're missing, this to me is the one that jumps out the most.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and from a real estate perspective, it's one thing if you talk about it in economic development terms, you're talking jobs, right? I mean, it's access to more jobs, but selfishly from a real estate standpoint, it's just taking a look at what we currently have here and diversifying it. Like, we don't have these types of developments in Northwest Indiana that you
right.
see in some of the other suburbs of Chicago. And there's no reason we shouldn't have those same things or can have those same things. So to me, it's just really an amazing opportunity for us here in Northwest Indiana, particularly in real estate, to offer some different types of dwellings and developments that we just haven't seen and probably won't see unless we tie ourselves around a project like this.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know this morning I had read that Governor Holcomb, the governor of the state of Indiana,
mm-hmm.
had discussed about the funds that were going to be coming about. And if you can, I know that you understand
sure.
a little bit more about that and what we're looking as a real estate community to have the insight of what would be available for us.
Yeah, so the Ready Grant Governor Holcomb was just speaking about, and kudos to the Northwest Indiana Forum and some of the other regional groups out there that have been spearheading this. It makes it easy for us because we just hop along with them and try to support them in this initiative. But one of the amazing things that might come from that, hopefully if it gets funded, is a comprehensive regional housing study. And the transit-oriented development is certainly a piece of that. So that's going to proceed with or without the housing study, but I think doing a regional housing study and then seeing where all of that fits in is something that's going to benefit us as well. And it's something that Northwest Indiana needs. We don't have that right now. And what that's going to help us do is catalog what our current inventory of dwellings looks like here in Northwest Indiana, benchmark that against other successful areas around the country, and for us to compare, what are we missing? What do we need? And it's going to help not only with the transit-oriented development, but it helps with development in general, like where you have developers who are going around to various different municipalities where they're pitching projects. Right now, a lot of it's anecdotal. Like, these developers are smart. They do their own market studies. They know what's going to work for them and what's not going to work for them based on their experience. But sometimes they have a problem convincing the communities that this is what's needed and this is what's a benefit. And I think a comprehensive regional housing study will give them the data that they need to go into a city council meeting, for example, and say, hey, it's not just us who are saying this is needed. Look at this housing study. This shows that these are the types of developments, whatever they may be at the time. Or sometimes it may say it's not needed, but I think it helps give us a better blueprint for what we're missing and really where we're trying to go with some of these projects and things out there, particularly in housing. So lots of really good things I think coming in Northwest Indiana. They really are. Yeah.
So for the viewers out there throughout the nation as well as our area, could you expound upon what this association, what it encompasses, what areas?
Yeah, so we cover a 7-county area. We are really one of the very few regional organizations out there. So we cover Lake, Porter, LaPorte, Stark, Pulaski, Jasper, and Newton counties. So we do cover a 7-county area. And one of the interesting things about that entire footprint is we do have everything here. We have everything from urban to suburban to rural. You just mentioned the Ready Grant. One of the things that the Ready Grant is supposed to be doing is how do we bridge that gap between urban, suburban, and rural, and how do we tie those together so we act. Not that those are distinct characteristics of a particular area, but how do we tie all that together so that we're acting as one region that is using all of its resources to benefit the citizens here, and so that's one of the things that Ready Grant is going to do. And again, I think when I look at Northwest Indiana, we have a lot of opportunity when you look at it in that regard. So yeah, it's a pretty big footprint. One of the things Northwest Indiana has not been good at in its history is everyone banding together and fighting for the same things. And I really feel like the leadership we have in Northwest Indiana, our elected officials, but even outside of that, the business community is embracing these opportunities and working together instead of fighting.
Feel it too.
Yeah,
I know you feel
absolutely.
it. Yeah, we're out there daily. With all the different municipalities, and I feel that vibe changing.
Yeah.
And I've been at this almost 30 years, and I know you've been on the ground too with this, and it just blows me away. The excitement that I'm seeing in people that I never really were anywhere near that before. I could remember when we were having the studies done, and I was working on that the bi-state tollway, and and people were questioning, oh, is that really going to happen, and all that. Well, here we are, years later. We need this infrastructure to help so many people.
There's a lot of doubters out there. There always is. It's a little bit human nature, but I think the key is that you get enough smart people working together that can paint a vision for what they want this area to be, and they work towards it. So one of the reasons that the Ready Grant and the announcement hasn't been made yet, so I don't want to speak too certain that we're going to get everything we're asking for in that. But none of that would have even been possible if we, as a region, again, sort of spearheaded by the Northwest Indiana Forum, didn't create something called the Ignite the Region Plan. So I remember years ago we were talking about the same thing I'm saying we need a regional housing study. We were saying we need a regional business plan, essentially. We don't have that. And I remember at the time there was a lot of people who said, Yeah, well, we've had different things like that. We have different plans, and how are you going to pay for that? And I remember Heather Ennis, she can speak to this. She's the CEO of the Northwest Indiana Forum. I guarantee she can tell you how many people doubted that we would be able to raise the money to fund that plan. And not only did we raise the money, we did it extremely quickly.
Right.
And then so once we did it, people were like, okay, we're going to take this a little bit serious because it looks like people are actually buying into this. And now here we are 3 or 4 years later, and it really is becoming the catalyst that's jumping us off into these other things like the Ready Grant. So we just positioned ourselves, I think, through planning and having a good vision for what we want Northwest Indiana to be. We've done a good job doing all the legwork, so to speak, and I really feel like we're now at the point where we're starting to reap some of those rewards that we've been working so hard for. And the train and the transit-oriented development being probably at the top of the list. I mean, you're talking about the 1980s. Congressman Visclosky was pushing for that. Again, I mentioned I work for the city of Hammond. I remember having some conversations with the congressman's office, the Regional Development Authority at that time, and it was still, when they came in and they were talking about it, it still seemed so far away. It still seemed so uncertain.
Yes.
But here we are in 2021, almost 2022,
Right.
and it actually is very close to happening, and so it's very exciting.
And I think it's really exciting because you are a native actually from Hammond.
Yep, born and
Indiana.
raised.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. And I can remember when I was a kid, my mother taught waterworks class at the Hammond Civic Center.
Yeah.
And then when I was able to purchase a home, I purchased it way out in Lowell, Indiana. They
Right.
thought, oh my gosh. And one of the things I did notice though is we had no public transportation
Right.
anywhere. And there was people in the South County of Crown Point, Lowell, and those areas catching a bus
Right.
to drive to the stations far away. And it had taken the people 2 hours to get to work if they worked in the city.
Yeah.
At that time, there really wasn't a lot of opportunity for the people to do that. So I have always been a proponent of public transportation of some sort that, is conducive of wherever the areas, we can get people to. And because I'm a huge proponent of safety. I think less cars, less traffic, there are carbon footprints on the roads too,
Right.
but saving lives.
Yeah.
I truly believe, especially with, when I started in real estate, we didn't have cell phones. So as realtors and people in general, we see, especially children and things like that, we have laws against it, but to get them off driving on a car and
Right.
get them into a train and get them to work or get them to where they need to be to make their living is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Northwest Indiana, unfortunately, historically has done a very poor job for public transportation, and it's a variety of reasons why that has happened, but hopefully we're changing that.
Absolutely.
And one of the things I'm most excited about with the expansion, not only the expansion, but the double tracking, is that it's not just about the new stations and the new developments. We've talked about that a little bit, but I think it's going to give some of those existing communities like East Chicago, Gary, on down the line, an opportunity to redevelop those areas around the station in a way that they never
Yes.
planned for. Like
Yeah.
I mentioned, I work for the city of Hammond. I could tell you, I read their planning documents. Nowhere in their history were they contemplating a commuter rail along with development going around those rails the way they are doing now.
Right.
And that is where the RDA is helping. I know that they are working with a lot of the local municipalities to say, number one, you need to plan for this, like literally from a planning perspective, planning, zoning, et cetera, making sure that you're taking down as much red tape as there is for developers to come in and try to get these things done. So just really from a development standpoint, making it easy to get to point A to point B to get the development done, but then also incentivizing it. Like that's a key
Right.
too.
That's what we
like
just
yeah,
discussed
like
about
reducing
that.
the risk
Right.
and having someone go first essentially to show everyone else this can be done and it can be done successfully. And if it is done successfully, then hopefully that builds, it continues to build and we start to see some of the things that we just historically have not seen here.
I have such a strong faith and I 100% believe it's going to be successful.
Yeah.
Especially with leaders such as you
Right.
in our community.
I appreciate
and
that.
With the teams that are structured within these authority and these government bodies that were put together specifically to make this happen.
Yeah.
I just know that and I feel it, I sense it. I go throughout the whole country and I look at different areas and I think, why can't we have this in Northwest Indiana? And now I don't have to say that anymore because I
Yeah.
know it's going to happen. It's going down.
Well, and one of the benefits we have, we talked about this, I mentioned this at the Indiana Business Roundtable discussion, is that we're a low-cost state. Like that's a fact. Like it's not something we're making up or touting. It's not even a sales pitch. It sells itself, in my opinion. We just got to get them to pay attention to us. But you talk about buying a home in Northwest Indiana, and I mean, the amount of house you can get, and you know this, Nancy, as well as anyone, and definitely more than me, but the amount of house that, you know, somebody can get here versus, let's say, Illinois or even other areas.
Right.
So it really is just a matter of putting all those amenities in place, and we have a lot of those amenities anyway, public parks, trails, beach, national parks, things like that, sort of the things that home buyers are now looking for. You mix that in with, again, the sort of low cost bang for your buck, and then now you're talking about making the commute times to a world-class city like Chicago, as you know, the commute time is in some cases less than some of these very desirable communities in Illinois.
Yes,
but I think just a lot of people just don't know that yet, or they don't see that yet.
Right.
But they will one day for sure.
Well, and,
Yeah.
I know in speaking with some of the municipalities, their growth plan does
Yep.
talk about they're having some utilization of the train. At one point, I know we mentioned about the town of St. John, Indiana. And you had said that you had spoken or you had met or, you know, had read the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, if
Maybe
you just
let
look
the
at it,
viewers
if
know
they're
a little bit about how we're preparing for this.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I guess it's always a matter of money. So we would like to extend the train even further than where we are today, but it really just boiled down to what we could get funded, and so it's going to end in GNIAR. But if you really look at some of these communities planning documents, like St. John, I haven't seen it in a while, but the last time I looked at it, you could see very clearly where they're planning for those extensions as well.
Right.
And so I know the goal was to get this part done, and not to bring up a new conversation, but I know that once we get this done, I'm sure you will start to hear other people talking about how much farther can we take this? Where else can we go? At one point, they were talking about it going all the way as far as Valparaiso. Well, quite frankly, and we were just talking about this a few minutes ago as well, there's a need for that. Like we were talking about, well, how do we get people in Northwest Indiana to some of these train stations, whether we're busing them to there or whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
Well, ultimately, in the long run, we know there's a desire and a need for it to go, to be extended even further. And we mentioned like our area, Stark and Pulaski County, like that seems so rural, even for people in Lake County. But if you go down there and talk to some of the realtors down there, they will tell you a lot of their business are people coming from Chicago, coming from Illinois.
Well, we are the crossroads of America.
Right.
We're it.
Yeah.
We have a lot of clientele from the Chicagoland market, Wisconsin, Michigan, coming through the passageway, which is here.
Yeah, I just don't think that that's a perception that a lot of people realize, though. I don't think that they know that that appeals to other areas, like even as rural as that is. And again, Stark County from here would be an hour from Maryville, getting to maybe Knox slightly less, but and again, that's a decent amount of time. But here you are, you go down and you talk to our members down there, and they'll tell you they have plenty of buyers from outside of Northwest Indiana.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so we have a lot to offer here for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you can, here we are, we're speaking in the amazing building here at GNIAR, which is located in Maryville, Indiana, where we have a teaching class here. So let's talk about the real estate agents. What's one tips of advice to them about understanding, what's going on? I'm putting this campaign out. We're launching this campaign next year because the shovels are moving.
Sure.
They're here. They're happening in 2022. Yeah. And so what's something maybe you can...
I would just say educate yourself about the project. Learn more about the project. All of the information is online. You can go to various websites, RDA's website and others, and learn more about the project. So my advice to any realtor is to just be on the forefront of that information. Like, you want to be the one guiding your clients to those opportunities before everyone else. Exactly. And not necessarily ahead of them, but you don't want to be behind in that conversation. Right. So it just really is a matter of educating themselves and making sure that they understand where the stations are going to be, where the opportunities for the development are going to be, and making sure that, again, they are making their clients aware of these opportunities, because I think at the end of the day it's going to be really cool. It's going to be a big deal, and there are going to be some unique developments that homebuyers may not be thinking of right now. But if that picture can be painted for them, if they can if they can see what that might look like, I think it would be very appealing for a lot of different home buyers out there.
There you
So,
go.
yeah.
You hit the nail on the head with that one. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, I cannot thank you enough for
Well,
being
my
with me
pleasure.
today
Yeah.
and helping spread the word.
Well,
We need to keep spreading this word, and it's just amazing what's happening. I'm
yeah,
excited.
I am too as well, and we're on the same team. That's the beauty of
I
this
know.
this whole thing is like you get to work with a lot of people who are like-minded and can see the future, and it's a pleasure. So I appreciate it.
Thank you so
Yep.
much, Pete.
All right.
Thank you.